Greetings everybody, welcome to Dark Souls 2. My name is Alarian and this is the third video in the Safer Souls series playthrough portion. In our last video we made a little bit more progress through the Forest of Fallen Giants. We met the Pursuer for the first time and managed to die to him. And we cleared our way up to the first Ironclad Knight and then decided it was a good time to take a break and gain a few levels. So now we're going to make a little bit more progress, and in this video we're going to be proceeding through the rest of the main portion of the dungeon and taking on the first boss. However, before I do that, I do remember that I didn't have any bolts and I wanted to grab a few. And as you can see here, bolts actually cost 25 souls per wood bolt, which is significantly more than arrows do. I'm not really sure why that is. I wouldn't say that crossbows are particularly better than bows, except for the fact that you can shoot them from the hip faster and more effectively than bows. But personally, I prefer bows to any other form of physical ranged attack. But I do want to grab a few, and I do have some souls to spend. So I'm going to consume some soul items, and then I'm going to go back to the Emerald Herald here and spend those as levels, and then take the excess and grab a few bolts. Okay, so I could get Endurance or I could get Strength here. Endurance would be good, but we're not really having any problems with our Endurance at this point, so I'm going to go for the extra damage from Strength for this playthrough. Alright, that done, I have almost 500 souls left, so I can grab a few bolts. And I can use those to kill off some of those enemies that were sitting in inaccessible points safer than I could otherwise. And they'll just make this playthrough a little bit easier. Not necessary, you could easily do what we did last time and just melee these enemies down, but I just wanted to kill them off quickly. Alright, so we've got those equipped now, and we can head back to the Cardinal Tower bonfire. Alright, back to the bonfire that we should be very familiar with. And now we do have the shortcut open, so I'm just going to shoot this guy in the head from here. And if you missed the introduction videos, you do this by selecting your weapon in with the right D-pad, and then you Y to two-hand it, and then L1 as if you're going to block in order to get the zoom-in menu. Or screen, rather. Alright, so as I come out, I know there's two enemies waiting for me here. Alright, so I'm going to keep trying to bait out his attacks, but I backed up a little bit, and I realized that I probably backed into the range of these two guys. One of the reasons I actually shot the guy on the wall in the first place is I didn't want to actually have to fight extra enemies here, but you can see I did pull that off. So now I've got to take on both of them. And I don't want to get hit by that guard break, so roll away from that. And have a backstab. Is it really a backstab when you do it with a mace, though? I don't know. Alright, so we have one more enemy waiting here. We'll take him out and back down the ladder. And this will put us more or less to about where we were yesterday. Or in the last video, rather. Okay, so the Ironclad Knight is still standing there. However, his archer support on the wall has respawned, and I don't want to go fight them together. I could draw the Ironclad Knight back, but I could take damage from those archers, and I really just don't want to do that. I'd rather just take them out. So, up the ladder again. And around the wall, and this time we're going to have a crossbow, so I don't have to try and jump down and deal with one, potentially two, potentially three enemies at the same time in that little hallway. Alright, so I'm going to shoot him in the head. And this is going to go a little bit slow, because you can see crossbows use up a lot of endurance, so I have to wait for some of my endurance to come back before I can shoot again. That's one down, this will be the second. And you see an item on the ledge over there, and I can try and jump over to that. And you're going to see in this video, I'm going to fail that jump 2 times in a row, which is really hilariously bad, considering that I've made that jump many times. I've actually never failed it, except when I was actually trying to record it. So here we go, miss the jump, and get the guy behind us. And he's going to turtle up, and I don't really know why he turtles up this much. So maybe we can give him a guard break. Yep, there we go. And he fell down. So what I'm doing here is I'm actually waiting for him to get into a position where I can do a drop attack. And you do this by falling off a ledge and hitting R1 on the way down. And you do extra damage to enemies that you land on successfully and hit. Alright, so it's just me and the Ironclad Knight, but I'm going to go for that jump again so you can see me fail it twice in a row. Alright, so around the side. Back to the miss jump. And miss. Alright, so now I'm going to try and pull the knight out. And what you need to know about these guys is regardless of how good your shield is, how good your defense is, you need to avoid that attack. That overhead smash will hit you for damage and pancake you through any amount of guards. So, unfortunately, you will need to roll or dodge away from that. You can roll away, but it's better to roll to the side. The only problem with that is that he does track pretty well, so if you're going to roll to the side, you need to do it a little bit late on the animation so that he's already locked into the direction that he's attacking. But as you can see for the most part, his attacks are pretty well telegraphed. The only thing frustrating about him is that when he lifts up his hammer to do his main attack, he can actually rush forward rather than just do it. And he can actually cancel it and just not attack. And that makes him a little bit less predictable and a little more annoying. Now I'm going to go into here, I'm going to keep my shield up and look around because actually, even though I've been here before, I don't even remember specifically where I'm coming out, so I want to be really careful. And I can look and see my right side's clear, and there are two knights on my left. By the way, the door you just saw there is locked. You cannot go through that until you've beaten the first boss. So I'm going to draw this guy away, as I really don't want to fight them two at once if I can help it. And he's going to turtle up. So we may need to guard break him too. Because these guys have a bad habit of walking away and gaining aggro on their friends, and it's just annoying. So guard break successful, and his friend decided to come at this point. Okay, and he went for the guard break, and you see I did too, but I didn't actually successfully guard break, even though it looked like the animation worked. And he recovered from it quickly, and that's because he didn't actually have his shield up when I hit him. So the guard break only gives you the good stagger when you actually hit them with their shield up. Alright, so I'm going to come up here and grab these items. And I can see a fog wall here on my left. Now, again, if I'm paying attention to the geography of the dungeon, I should know I'm pretty close to the Cardinal Tower bonfire again. So, there's a safe bet that that's not a boss fight. And now I can see that gate on the other side of the ladder that I take from the Cardinal Tower. So this is going to open up the shortcut that we've been trying to get to for about the last 30 or 40 minutes of gameplay time. So this is good progress right here. This will also give us direct access to the first boss. Alright, so I'm going to go up, I'm going to rest at the bonfire, check and see if I can spend my souls at this point, and it looks like no, I'm still a little short. So, before I go to the first boss, I do want to level up and spend my souls, but I need to get a little bit more souls in order to do that. So I'm going to go and clear out that room that you saw with the two spears again, because there's a couple other things in there that we might as well grab while we're here. However, yeah, it looks like that guy's decided to follow me, our friend from the bridge, and I don't know if he tethers or not. Some enemies do tether. Some enemies will chase you a very long distance. So I'm going to make sure that I kill him now so that he doesn't come up behind me at some point later. And over on the left up here, I'm going to run into my first crystal lizard. And crystal lizards are important to try and kill, and you see I miss here. And I don't know why I missed that second attack, but whatever. He's going to get away. Crystal lizards will spawn infinitely until you kill them, but they will only be killable once per playthrough of the whole game. So unlike other enemies, once you've killed them, they don't respawn once you rest at a bonfire. And what they are there for is to, when you kill them, they drop reinforcement items for upgrading your equipment. So they're very important to try and kill when you see them. However, they are not aggressive. When they see you, they'll immediately run away. And if you don't kill them fast enough, they'll either disappear or usually fling themselves off cliffs and escape. So when you see one, if it's not aggroed yet, you want to prepare some way of attacking vertically with a good weapon that'll actually give you a vertical attack. It's one of the things that Claymore that I usually use is terrible at. And try and kill them very fast. Arrows do work, but they're a bit slow. Crossbows are a bit slow. Magic works really well. The mace works pretty well most of the time. And one of my favorite weapons later in the game is the Black Knight Halberd, and it works really well as well. Alright, so I'm going to take these two guys out. And you probably saw when I ran through the door, I jumped to get away from them because I knew they were there now, and I knew they might be attacking me. And as you can see right here, there's a giant statue-y sword-looking thing shoved into the side of the building. And there was a single knight standing at the top of that. Now, this should look fishy to you. You see a guy, there's nothing but death on either side of him, because that's a death drop. And he's just standing there in front of an item. That tells me that this is not safe. So what I'm going to do is go up and see if I'm going to spring some sort of trap by working my way up this ledge. Now, nothing's happened so far, but okay, if I look around, I can see there's a knight waiting for me. So that's probably a trap. And this is another good place to use my crossbow. So I'm going to shoot him, and then I'm going to get down, because apparently that made his friend angry. And now I can fight both of these guys from a much safer position. Alright, I'm going to try and get this. No, I was hoping to get him before his friend arrived, but that didn't happen. Now we're taking more damage than I would like here. Alright, guard break. Let's hit him. Took some damage there. That wasn't ideal. Alright, we'll finish him off, and we're going to have to heal. But that's okay. We were going to go back to the Cardinal Tower and head back to Majula and level up anyway. Alright, so we're going to grab this item. And this is a halberd. And it's a really good weapon overall. It's one that a lot of people like its range, its moveset. It does good damage, especially on a per-swing basis. I'm not a huge fan. I like the Black Knight Halberd you get later in the game. It doesn't look like we can equip it yet at this point. It is pretty even and high strength and dexterity requirements, but it's a good weapon to hold in case you want to play with it a little bit later and see if it really fits your playstyle. However, I'm going to stick with the mace for now, because the mace really has good strength scaling, and that's really what we're using at this point. Also, I like the moveset on the mace, especially in the first couple of dungeons, and we're going to get a weapon at the end of this playthrough that I'm going to use for a long time, because I really like it. Alright, so I'm going to level up and spend these souls before I go on to the first boss. And I know on this boss I'm going to roll a little bit, so I'm going to get another point in adaptability. Just give myself maybe that extra iframe of immunity. Alright, so back to the Cardinal Tower. And I want you to notice at this point, we're going to the first boss, and we have leveled a couple of times, and we bought a shield and a mace at the beginning of the playthrough in Majula, but I've not leveled up my Estus Flask at all. I've not leveled up my equipment at all. I'm really at still a fairly close to beginning point on this character. We're going to take on the boss successfully, just being careful and without any major upgrades. But one thing I do want to do is I do want to restore my humanity, so I'm going to use a human effigy, and then I'm going to rest and get my health back. So now I'm fully human again, and now I can start to see all these summoning signs appearing. And these are all players, and as I said, one of the rules of the Safer Soul series is I'm not going to do any player summons, but I am going to use NPC summons. And again, that's primarily to show you that this method of playing is very viable. It can be done without the help of other players, but why not use an NPC summon if it's available? And this elevator here will take us down to the first boss. I don't have a whole lot to say about this boss. He's actually a very easy fight. It might take a couple of times. One thing you'll see is that he's very, very tall. And he has 3 targeting points on him, and you can control what you're targeting manually with the reticle, the right stick, and it is his right leg, his left leg, and his chest. And most of the time you're going to be looking to attack his legs. And he has really only two major abilities that he's going to go back. And here's a summon sign. This is Mild-Mannered Pate, our friend from a little bit earlier in the game. He's Patches 3.0. And we are going to summon him. Alright, so the attacks for this boss. He has a very wide and fairly long range sweeping attack with his arms that he'll do out in front of him. And it's important that you avoid that. It does a lot of damage. You don't want to try and block it with a shield at this point. I don't know that you have enough endurance to do so. But if it does hit you, it does hit for a lot of damage. You can see he's doing it right there. And it hits almost all the way around from either the backside of either of his legs, so you need to be aware of it. But he is pretty vulnerable when he's doing that attack to any point directly under him, directly close in front of him, or behind him. So it's really not a dangerous attack as long as you're aware of it. And you can tell when he's going to do it because he'll plant both his legs and he'll sort of sweep one of his legs up. And there is a sort of a stomp, not a stomp, but a slap down he can do with his arm, but he doesn't do that very often, thankfully. The primary attack you're going to need to watch out for is his stomps, and he can stomp with either leg once, or he can go into a sort of tantrum 3 stomp with either leg back and forth. And in this video I actually get really unlucky because he really just gets caught in a stomp loop on Peyton, like he's just out to kill him, and he does, and that's unfortunate because most of the time he doesn't do that. He tends to go back and forth between a stomp, maybe a tantrum. Oh, and he fell down. He can do this. I'm not sure exactly what triggers it. I don't think we hit him enough times in the leg for that to happen, but it'll give you free attacks. And once he gets under 50%, he will buff up his sweep attack by tearing off his own arm. Yeah, that gives it more damage and a little more range. But again, you want to watch out for his stomps. You will probably need to roll away from him when they're coming, and you want to make sure that he's only doing one stomp before you try and attack again. You see you got Pate there, and now it's me and the boss alone without Pate, and that's not ideal. But if you're in front of him and he's going to do the sweeping attack like you saw there, the best way to deal with it is stay between his legs and roll in towards him if you're in front. So I'm going to roll in, and he's going to miss me completely. And I'm pretty safe right where I'm standing. And if I stand on the backside of him, it's still pretty safe here. So he can sweep attack and not hit me. And I just need to start watching for his leg stomps. And I'm going to continue to do this until he's dead. I want to tell you what we're going to do once he's dead. In the next couple of videos, they're going to be shorter videos. I am going to be gearing up to get ready to fight the Pursuer. And the next video is going to be basically just gaining a few extra levels, and I'm going to deal with being summoned for the first time. So early practice at co-op, ways to make some extra levels. If you want to skip a video, that's probably the video that you'll want to skip, but it'll give you a lot of good information about your role and the role of other people in summoning and being summoned. And the video after that, I'm going to actually buff up my equipment and levels a little bit so that I'm ready to take on the Pursuer, which we'll be doing in the last video. Alright, so I'm going to finish this guy off, and I need to be careful because he's really, really into stomping this time. And the thing that'll most likely catch you and do damage to you is when he does one stomp with one leg, and then he does another stomp with the same leg. It's two separate animations. It's not part of his tantrum, but it can catch you off guard because you think, oh, he stomped, I can get in, I can take a swing at him, and he's not going to stomp again with this leg immediately, and sometimes that's exactly what happens. There's the tantrum. So he did the one stomp, I thought I was safe, and he got me here, so now I need to get away. And thankfully he's pretty slow, so you can get across the room, use my Estus Flask. Get in front, so I'm going to roll in, avoid the damage, and we're going to finish him off. Alright, there you have it. Fallen Giant from the Forest of Lost Giants. As always, I hope this video helps, and I hope to see you in the next video.